Los Cayos, de la Florida, Cuba, nuestra gente, sintonizamos a través de 7 supuesto, a través del app de Odyssey en toda la Unión Americana. Pero vamos a tratar de hacerlo en inglés porque tenemos other stations getting connected with us through the Florida state. So let's go, Jorgito. Let's start in English.
Let's roll. So just to get rolling, we wanted to ask you, Senator, if you could tell us a little bit more about your background, or about your origin story, if you will.
Quisiera estar aquí gracias a Odyssey por este evento. Los votantes hispanos son muy importantes para mí. Tienen aspiraciones, quieren vivir en un país que valore la fe, la vida, trabajo, las oportunidades. Well, here's my background. I'm blessed. I was born to a single mom, and we lived in public housing, but she told me that I grew up in a country that I could be anything, and I believed her. She made me go to church a lot. I used to tell her I'd gone to church enough, I probably wanted to go the rest of my life. She said, you're going to be an Eagle Scout, get out of the house and make some money. So by the time I was 7, I was always had a job. Trump just the other day did work at McDonald's. Yes. When I was 13, I think it's 13, I worked at a fry station, not a McDonald's. And I made 85 cents an hour. A fry cook, So I got paid more money than any kid. I never wanted to be broke. I didn't like that. I watched my mom and I have an adopted dad struggle for work, and that's horrible life.
Of course. Now, when we think of your urges and how come, through the years, you are going to be the majority in the Congress.
I think so.
My question is, how joining the Navy helped you in your structure of life?
I joined the Navy at 18. I was 18. I got married at 19. My wife married me for my money. I was each in the Navy making $344 a month. But what it taught me? One, I saw the world. Right? I met people from all over the United States, and you learned how the military worked. I mean, we have a chain of command. President's a commander-in-chief, and you're responsible. When you enlist, I enlisted. You give your lives for the years you've committed. My commitment was a 6-year commitment, and so I'm proud of the fact that I had the opportunity to serve. Now, I joined the Navy, go Navy. My adopted dad, did the Army. He had a 6-year education. He was crazy. He was a paratrooper, but I think they paid him more money. Yeah, go Army. There's only 3,000 Americans in all 4 combat jumps for the 82nd Airborne in the Second World War. He was one of them. Very few people came back alive, and he fought in the Battle of the Bulge. When my mom told me he was going to pass away, I said, my dad's never passed away because he has so many lives. He survived all that. But he told me the Germans were bad, the foxholes were bad, and the food was bad. I thought none of that would be the name. So it was good. But I learned a lot. It was a great experience. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I had the opportunity to serve. I have 6 grandsons, and I want every one of them to serve.
Great.
How would you say, if I could just add to the question about your military service, how would you say that your time in the service has informed your public service?
So, I was in it right until in the last couple of years of Vietnam. And so whether you like the Vietnam War or not, your job was, if you're going to join, your responsibility is to follow the commander-in-chief and do what they said. I respect the military. I respect that we have a civilian commander-in-chief. So in my role, I'm on Armed Services, and I'm the ranking member of the Personnel Committee of Armed Services. So I think what that does is it really you have to think about how do we make sure we have the best men and women serving, and how do we make sure they have all the right equipment, and then we don't put them in harm's way unless we have to defend their freedom. So I think that's probably what helped me the most. I think my mom telling me I had to do something with my life constantly as a did help push me into public service.
Estamos conversando en vivo, amigos oyentes que se nos han conectado a través de las redes sociales con el senador completamente en vivo desde los estudios de Policy en el sur de la Florida. Somos Jorge Bonilla y Lourdes Julieta en vivo con ustedes a esta hora. Senador, quería hacerle una pregunta que tiene que ver con la situación de los ciudadanos en este país. I'm going to ask you a question regarding the situation of millions of people in the United States, more specifically in Florida. We have 72% of people living paycheck to paycheck in the US. And there is a huge crisis, economic crisis going through the life of many people and families. They are struggling right now with inflation. We know what is happening. What do you think is the biggest crisis facing Florida and right now, and what is your plan to address it?
Well, clearly the biggest thing that happens Florida right now is probably inflation. That's probably. So here's what I think about it. When I became governor,
Yes.
what I ran on was to get our city back. So in 2010, we had homes in foreclosure. We had less than a million people, I think, was on unemployment. And my job was, I ran on a simple, I don't care what you asked me, I said, I got to practice 700,000 jobs over 7 years. The reason why I believe in that is I watched what my parents went through. It's tough life like a kid when your parents don't have any money. If you look at what's happening right now, here's some numbers. Number one, go to the grocery store. The federal government says inflation is 22% in the last 3.5 years, way higher than that. Look at what's happened to gas prices. Look at what's happened to rent. Okay, you look at almost everything we buy, the prices are way too high. So if you think about somebody like my mom, which is a typical American, didn't have a lot of money, doesn't have a whole bunch of extra money in the bank, that's what they're going through right now. So the biggest thing is inflation. Number two, we're not adding full-time jobs. We're adding part-time jobs. When they put out these job numbers, like they act like, oh, there's a couple 100,000 jobs a month, those aren't full-time jobs. We're losing full-time jobs, we're getting part-time jobs. We have working age Americans, 16 to 64, over 50 million people don't have a job, don't have any job. 50 million people. No one teaches your kid saying, oh, I don't want you to have a job. Your government is teaching your kid not to have a job. We have a program for this, a program for that, a program for that. We need programs for people that need short-term help. Maybe if you're disabled, get it. But we're creating dependency on government. That doesn't last, it doesn't work. So we've got to get back to balance the budget, we've got to get back to help companies grow. That's where the jobs are. Don't kill these companies with permitting problems, with regulatory problems. When I finished government, we had 1 million jobs. How many government jobs? None. Private sector jobs. We help companies grow. That's what we need.
I wanted to ask you really quick about free speech. It's an important value in our society. It's an important value to this country. A significant chunk of our community come from places where free speech has been persecuted. Where people have been thrown in jail speaking their mind. Now, you're recently inspired with a couple of members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus to actively censor a conservative Hispanic radio station here in South Florida. If you could tell us, if you could just give us your take on the importance of free speech in a truly democratic society.
Well, think about our founding fathers were great, right? How they wrote the Constitution, and then to get all the states on board, they did the Bill of Rights, right? And religion, right to bear arms, freedom of speech. What they knew is if you didn't have these things, eventually there would be a tyrannical government, right? So now what you look is that people are trying to shut down other voices. They don't want somebody else's voice.
I was one of those voices.
Yep.
I want to silence.
Right, because
She even called the FBI to silence the conservative voices. It's true. I have to say, I was one of those.
Well, because they can't win, they're bad.
But they say they
They're
use
so
because of
bad.
the conservative radios. How ridiculous.
Yeah, because no one wants, when you look at what they're trying to sell, it's bad for families. Look at every place where they've had socialism. What happens, eventually the only way they can they can keep it going is put people in prison and kill them. That's it. You can't keep doing it. And what happens to the entire economy? It falls apart. And so the only way they can do it is shut down your voice, and you can see the path, right? And so it's going to start writing what you believe in. If they don't like it, have a better message.
Exactly.
Right. So
and the censorship, it's very important what you're saying, Jorge, also, because sometimes the journalists and hosts, before having a problem in the company where they work, Senator, they silence themselves. They decide to say,
keep their job. It's not censored.
Yes.
I gotta keep my job, I gotta make a paycheck.
So it's a way of criminals also, you can get kicked out of their job.
They do the same thing with candidates. They try to make somebody toxic so nobody can, they can't support them. They do the same thing with all this. I mean, let's fight over their best ideas. If your idea is better, let's go with your idea. If I can't sell you my idea, that's my problem, right? If I don't get to tell you my idea, that's the government's doing that to us.
Conversando con el senador que es el vivo a esta hora. No sé si le tengo que hacer una pausa, me quedan unos minutos antes de la pausa porque quiero hablar de la situación de los huracanes en la Florida, que como ustedes saben no se ha terminado la temporada todavía y tenemos un tema pendiente con los huracanes que nos han pasado. Regarding the hurricane and the families across the state, Senator, what can they count on from the government to help them rebuild after these two horrible monsters that went to Florida? What more do we need to do to protect ourselves from this devastation that we're facing every single year in Florida?
You see, it seems like, what's really the thing that's had the biggest impact is the storm surge. We had it when I was governor with Irma in 2017 down in the Keys. Then we had it in the Fort Myers area, and now we've had it twice. We've had it with Helene and with Milton. And you go clear up to the Big Bend area, we had 18 foot of water, a wall of water coming from 18 feet. You're not going to survive 6, but even down like in just south of Tempe, you have 10 feet. So I'm kidding. So even down where I live in Naples, we had 6 feet. So it's really bad. So what we have to do is, one, we have to, as an individual, we have to say to ourselves, okay, what are we building, right? What should we build, and how do we protect our property and our lives? So that's one thing. Number two is we've got to make sure that our local government, our state government, our federal government, which all do different things, to help you after the fact and before do their job. So my role as a U.S. Senator is to make sure the federal government does their part. FEMA is a response organization to whoever the governor is by state. What they do is they organize any federal resources, but they don't have them themselves. So, like, they don't hire first responders. They don't hire somebody to pick up the debris. They can pay for part of it. So, but they do pay for, if you wash your house, they'll pay you, they'll give you a stipend for a while, right? And then the SBA, what they do is they have a loan program for families, for their houses, and for small businesses. Then the Department of Ag for farmers and ranchers, and then HUD helps on some family issues. That's generally the federal response. But it takes everybody doing their part.
We have a situation with the property insurance crisis also in the States. There's people that cannot afford any trust under this economic insurance. People losing their houses because they can't pay. La gente que no puede pagar los seguros de propiedad, amigos oyentes en la Florida. Esta es una pregunta supremamente importante, Jorge. Porque people is struggling, Senator. What can we do with this?
So here's how you fix it. Number one, the way to think about it, insurance is we all aggregate the risks together and we share the risks. That's all insurance really is. Let's think about that for a second. So what I did as governor, we had a problem when I became governor that a lot of insurance companies had left the state. So I went to see them. I said, like, you come back, and I recruited them to come back to the state. And then I asked the Department of Agriculture, or Department of Insurance, you got to sit down with these companies and say, how do they sell a product that consumers can afford, right? Then the next thing you got to do, you crack down all the fraud. You can't have an insurance company saying, hey, I said I was going to sell you this, oh, but I have to pay for this, and assume that rates are not going to go up. Either rates are going to go up or they're going to leave the state. That's one of the two things that's going to happen. So right now, what we have to do is recruit more companies. Now, this is a state issue; it's not a federal issue.
Yes.
So the state has to do it. And the legislature passed some legislation. I think session 4 last, that may have an impact, but until it's fixed, it's not enough, right? So it's a state issue that's what they have to do. At the federal government, what I've done is two things. One, on trying to get you a tax deduction for your property insurance up to $6,000 a year. And number two, national flood insurance is a national issue. And since I've been trying as governor, the little way we're going to fix that, because we're a donor state. If we're a donor state since it started, then our rate should be coming down, not going up, right? And they continue to go up. So I've tried to, the little way out of this is to create a private insurance market. So I'm trying to work to try to create a private insurance market. So then you can buy flood insurance less expensively.
We have to do a break, ¿no? Es la hora del break, es la hora del break.
Sí.
¿Será que se pasa el tiempo?
Just like that.
Yo te dije que esta hora iba a pasar rapidísimo. I knew it was going to go, run fast. This first half an hour in the show. Vamos a dar un aplauso al senador. Estamos en vivo a través de nuestra señal, por supuesto, Stream Live, en las redes sociales, la que más le guste, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.